Well, hey guys, welcome back to Built to Last, our podcast where we've been discussing building homes and developing neighborhoods in our DFW Metroplex here in North Central Texas. And basically, we've come full circle. We have back with us today Easton Maykus, the owner of Maykus Homes and Neighborhoods. And we started off talking to him about what it took to develop a neighborhood and talk about the Maykus brand. And now we're here to talk to him about the last step of the process, and that's when we walk that homeowner through a new home. Well, Easton, thank you for being on the show with us today.
I'm excited to be here for an exciting topic and what people wait a long time to kind of know about and learn about.
Sure, they've been probably, if they designed this home from scratch, from architect to this point in time, 12 months, 14 months could have gone by, depending on the size of the home. So what's exactly going to take place during this walkthrough, Easton?
So prior to a homeowner, client, part of the Maykus family taking ownership of that home or taking possession of that home, there is dialogue and conversation leading up to that, which basically these are dates and times that we've discussed for months and months in advance, actually even early on in planning, kind of identifying the time that they would move in. But at this stage, approximately 30 to 45 days prior to a client taking ownership and possession of that home, we're going to be walking them through the utility transitions, the the basics of, hey, when you move in, you may want to start getting your internet set up with the internet and data provider for that area. Us not turning off the electricity or the water or the gas or any of the utilities that happen, but basically a smooth transition. So when they move in, all the services are set up and ready to go. So that is kind of the first step before we get into them, or the discussions that we're going to have leading up to them moving in the home.
We're not just going to toss them some keys and say, hey, nice to see you.
That's right.
All right,
You're
very
spot
good.
on.
Now, so now we've got them actually in that home and we're introducing them to that home. What are some of the things that you're going to be showing them when you're walking them through that home?
That's a great question. And I may leave some things off here because every home's a little different with, specific systems for each home. So without getting into steam showers and water filtration systems and very specific things like that, but every home is going to have a whole home water shutoff valve. Okay, that's an extremely important thing to know. Some homes may have a fire suppression system. So we want to introduce them to how that operates and works and learning about the system. We're going to give them a tour of how to change an air filter, which is extremely important in these modern homes and these very tight homes that we're building, to take a lot of the pressure and concern and angst that somebody may have if they haven't been a homeowner in the past. That really home ownership, if you think of it in the terms that we're going to walk through, is not that daunting. It's actually, I believe, a lot easier than even owning a vehicle. So we're going to introduce them to the manuals and where we organize all the things for their appliances and their garage doors and their fireplace and all the appliances, the water heaters and things like that. Also going to give them a tour of the attic, and I already mentioned the air filter, but we're going to do that in front of them and put a fresh air filter in that plenum or that system for them to have a clean air filter upon moving in. We're going to show them the extra tile where their extra paint would be for any touch-ups and things like that. We take a lot of pride in our attics. My dad was always took a lot of pride in having clean thresholds at all the entrances of the doors, and an attic door, being technically an exterior door, has a threshold. So we take a lot of pride and kind of joke sometimes about that attic space being someplace you could effectively eat off the floor. It may have some stains and things like that, but the attic, we take a lot of pride in cleaning that as well.
And we're just going to add in there, don't throw that paint and tile away. Keep that stuff in your attic. You never know when you might need it. So really, Easton, this is part education. We're educating the homeowner at that point in time. But then you, as the builder, you're also verifying that that home meets the Maykus standards. You're able to walk through and see that finished product and know that it's meeting the Maykus standards.
Yes, sir.
Well, what should the homeowner actually expect? Is that home going to be perfect at that time?
I would love to say that the homes that we build are perfect. And if we could punch out a home for 10 years, unfortunately, there is no perfect product. This is essentially, or is, a man-made product with hundreds of different human hands that have taken place. We're not building a widget in a factory that is perfect every time with exact tolerances and things like that. So we try very, very hard to get it as perfect as possible, but we're dealing with natural materials. We're dealing with human hands. We're dealing with variables in temperature and weather, and it's just not built in a vacuum. So we are handing over a home that we would be very pleasantly surprised to live in ourselves if we did. And so it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, I don't believe, but it's as close as we can get with our human eyes and hands.
So basically, then this is kind of the time where we have said construction of your home is finished, and now you move in, and then the warranty period takes over after that point.
Yes, sir.
What kind of things are covered during that warranty period during the first year?
So the first year, workmanship and materials is going to be covered. So if a piece of trim, let's say, has a bow in it or has swollen from moisture content. Another one that is unfortunate, but it does happen when we in the Texas market build a lot of custom cabinets, not to say that there isn't prefab cabinets in some homes, but the longer the doors get, right? It's a wood material. It could be MDF, it could be pine, it could be whatever species or material it could be. But depending on the moisture content, those doors could potentially warp. So we have gone into a beautiful set of cabinets like the ones behind us, and maybe one of the doors doesn't sit flush. Or let's say Mr. and Mrs. homeowner have a dog that has tried to get into the trash drawer and it knocks it off its tracks. Things like that we're going to help with. Movers coming in and scraping a wall with boxes, even though that is not something that was anybody's fault, we're going to help with that because we're going to be in there to do something else. Another very common example would be, depending on the time they move into the home, and I know you're familiar with this too, Eric, moisture content in the natural materials, whether it's the raw framing lumber or whether it's the grout that connects the backsplash to the countertops in the kitchen or the tile in the master shower. As that material ages and the moisture content comes out, it has a tendency to potentially crack. And so we'll go in and fix that up and do a year punch list for these homeowners and make it fresh again. But that doesn't necessarily mean that something was wrong. Again, it's just something that happens with the climate that we live in.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of compiling this list for their year warranty. Now, we always do tell somebody something that if electrical system doesn't work or the plumbing system doesn't work, gas, those things call us right away.
Yes.
But some of these minor cosmetic details, they can actually accrue over time. You mentioned the cabinet door may not warp during this week, but it could warp.
That's right.
Next week. So it's not necessarily a linear process then.
That's right.
Okay. Well, what piece of advice would you like to give a homeowner? Would you give a homeowner as they're living in their home that first year?
Something that we're local, we're small, but something that I believe also takes or could take some angst off somebody is, again, there's going to be things that are found. Not to get too graphic, but let's say you go to the water closet and the door shuts and there's a piece of trim missing. It's happened. That is something that is important and we're going to fix it. But likely there could be one or two other trim items. So I would like people to understand, let that list season a little bit. That doesn't mean it's not important. That doesn't mean that it isn't crucial or even embarrassing to us that something like that may have gotten missed. But we're going to go in there and we're going to make it right. And what we try to do to make people's lives easier and less of a headache is an Eric or a Doug or a Bubba would schedule a day or two to go in there and knock those items out at once instead of onesie twosieing trades and vendors in and out of somebody's house. We don't want to do that to anybody. And that's, to me, it's not a lack of care or detail. It's just something that happens, unfortunately, and we're getting better at it. We're always improving, but things like that can be expected on occasion.
And I agree with your point. I think it's a little more convenient for our homeowners too if we can let that list or that home season a little bit. We're not interrupting their schedule as much. We're not bringing people into their home as often. We just get it done in certain blocks of time.
Yes.
Well, Ethan, thank you very much. We know you're a very busy man out there developing neighborhoods and building homes, and we appreciate you coming out and seeing us again today.
My pleasure, and hopefully we'll be doing some walkthroughs on some new Maykus Homes soon.
Oh yes, we're going to plan on hopefully our next season, our next shows, we'll be doing some field stuff, from some construction techniques, different things like that.
Wonderful.
Well, folks, we certainly appreciate you joining us for our Maykus Better Built podcast. We encourage you to come out and see us at our model home. Feel free to call our staff with any questions at 817-308-1155. We appreciate you taking your time. Be sure to tune in to us wherever you listen to or watch your podcast. Meanwhile, this is Eric with Maykus Homes and Neighborhoods. You guys take care, and we'll see you soon.